Well, good morning. This psalm is helpful for those of us who look to the wrong places for help when we need help. And it helps us for those who grow impatient when we don't receive the word we want. And so the psalm, by its structure, helps us with the second and with its words for the first. So, we look often as people to the wrong places for help. When we're in trouble, where do you look? Where do you seek help from? And so we look to Google for help. Man, that you just Google things and it's not helpful. There's so much advice that's not helpful. There's just so much, and so it gives a sense of helping, but not really helpful at all. We look to friends for help, and that's not a bad thing entirely, but sometimes we look to the wrong people to give us ideas for help. Sometimes we look to our culture and psychology for help when we're in trouble. We look in the wrong places there and adopt mindsets and frameworks that are just not helpful. And so common pop psychology is not a good place to look for help. We look for help from lawyers. We look for help from substances. We look for help from credit cards. We look for help in luxury and leisure and pleasure. And so there's so many places that we look that aren't helpful to us in the long run. And so a key phrase in this short little psalm, Psalm 123, it's an ascent psalm, is the idea of looking and eyes. And so the psalm directs us to where we should look for help in trouble. And so it's Psalm 123. Here's what it says: I lift my eyes to you who sit enthroned in heaven. So that should remind us of Psalm 121. We've already had this idea of where do we look when we're in trouble. And so there's this long view of looking to God who's on his throne in heaven, and we look to him when we're in trouble. And then the psalm changes a little bit, and I think this helps us as we think about how we look. And so we know where we should look, but how we look is important. And so it says this: as the eyes of slaves look to the hand of their master, as the eyes of a female slave looks to the hand of their mistress, so our eyes look to the Lord our God till he shows us his mercy. And so so the idea of slaves and masters here doesn't have negative connotation. It's a system of someone who you were employed with, and it was your system of family and culture and life. And so there's positive ideas here, not negative. When we think of slavery, we often think of what we know as African slaves and the terrible abuses of that. So this is a different system of thought. And so the eyes of a slave who looks to his master is one of confidence, of one of looking up to it with respect, a look of nowhere else to turn in your world system. So he looks to heaven, and then he looks to the eyes of his master, and the phrase "till he shows us his mercy" is really helpful as we think about how we look. We look with patience. We look with with anticipation, and we wait. We don't demand. We don't pound our fist on the table and say to God, you must work, you must do this, and do it now. It's a sense of, we're in your hands. We can't turn anywhere else. And then finally, verses 3 and 4, have mercy on us, Lord, have mercy on us. This is the stance. This is why we look to God, because He is one who brings grace and help in our time of need. Have mercy on us, for we have endured no end of contempt. We have endured no end of ridicule from the arrogant, of contempt from the proud. It's interesting how this psalm ends. It ends very open-ended. It doesn't say, well, the Lord is going to rescue us. The Lord is going to come to our aid immediately. The psalm ends just open-ended. It's now we wait. And so this psalm is not only helpful to us as we think about if we look to the wrong places, but this psalm is really helpful to us as we navigate life, where oftentimes what we need doesn't come quickly, and the mercy that we hope for doesn't come in the exact way that we want. And sometimes there is no end to contempt, and ridicule is something that we have to endure from the arrogant, and contempt is something that we must walk with, because there are people in our world that are happy to give it and keep giving it. And so the psalm helps us find confident patience that God is kind-hearted, gracious, and merciful to us, yet we submit to His care and the way He shows His mercy to us, and gives us a sense of patient endurance in the face of trouble. So it helps us think about where we look, and the psalm clearly says we look to God. We often look in the wrong places, and this psalm is a reminder to turn our eyes away from all the horizontal for help, and to look to God, who is merciful. And it helps us think about patient endurance as we wait for God's mercy. Oh, we need it, right? We need His mercy. I love that line. Have mercy on us, Lord. Have mercy on us. This should be a prayer that we ask, that we give regularly. We need the Lord's mercy. So today, as you reflect on Psalm 123, I pray and hope that as you look at your troubles, you look to God. And as you look with patient endurance, that you look with confidence that He is merciful, and that He is a good God, and that He will do what is right in His time, in His way, for His glory and our growth, for our strengthening, so that we may trust Him more and more and bring Him glory. Well, I hope you have a good Friday today. God bless, and we'll see you soon.